Stand by for the Brewery Underground podcast.
In Nashville, sweat will rise. Crockton brews will meet the skies. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite.
What do you think about Oktoberfest season?
Guy who's been to Germany should know. Oktoberfest is actually in September, correct? So I mean,
Yeah, it is. Absolutely, yeah.
which makes
So we're about 5 weeks away from September, believe it or not. No, about 8 weeks.
Come
away
on,
from
man.
Yeah, 8 weeks.
I forgot about July.
Buddy.
I was right. I was going right into August.
Like actually, yeah, we're about 8.5 weeks.
Yeah. Well, look, our schedule is booked through July, so I've already skipped over July.
By
I'm
the
thinking about
time this airs, or if it airs, because I might honestly, I'm thinking bury this in the backyard.
He gonna send us a cease and desist.
We have so much to contribute.
This is all we do.
We're such amateurs.
When Oktoberfest season rolls around, what's the go-to for the Hilltappers when it comes to Oktoberfest? You got some favorites?
Yes. Look, and first off, I'll say this: no matter where you are, I'm gonna stand by this. All right, standing by this. No matter where you live, if you want to get a good Oktoberfest beer, no matter what you think of the beer company, Sam Adams Oktoberfest is delicious.
Buddy, you and I are lockstep on it, man.
I agree.
I was hoping you'd say
I
that.
stand in line. I am one of the first people to stand in line at the grocery store each year to get a six-pack when they come out on the first day that is out. Last year, here I was at Publix the very first day that they had Oktoberfest, and that was like August 28th or something. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care how early it is. I'm going there, and
I know it's available pretty much anywhere, but let me tell you, as just a mass-produced Oktoberfest beer, you can't go wrong with it. It's really good.
It's the OG.
It is.
It is solid. We got a buddy, Calvin, he'll buy a case of it at the end of the season or a couple of cases, so it gets him through like the spring and the summer until it comes back out again.
Nice. Well played.
Locally here in Louisville, we have, obviously, because this is how we started, so we have a ranking. We may disagree on number one. We kind of go back and forth on number one. I tend to think that the number one local Oktoberfest beer is by a place called Montage Brewing. Montage makes great beers, but their Oktoberfest is called Kaiser von Schnitzelberg. Great name. And I think that is probably one of the best. And they can it, so you can buy it locally in cans. And we also think that the Gallant Fox, which is a place we were hoping that we could take you guys soon. Gallant Fox has one called Foxtoberfest.
That's number one. That's number one.
That's his favorite.
That's number one.
So those are great. Up in the Cincinnati area, I think Braxton's October Fuel is delicious. Really good. Fall City. You familiar with Fall City beer? Back when we were growing up, Fall City meant cheap, terrible beer. But then what happened was they became a brewery when the fad came along, and now Fall City makes some really great beers. They have one called Ottofest, OTTO Fest, and that was definitely a top beer for us. And then both Against the Grain and Goodwood, both Louisville breweries have amazing Oktoberfest, and Donkashane by West 6 out of Lexington. It's a little bit mild for an Oktoberfest, but super drinkable. So if you want lighter, a more drinkable Oktoberfest, excellent.
Well, last year I found an Oktoberfest that I did not think was possible that I liked a little bit better than Sam Adams. Founders had a barrel-aged Oktoberfest that was about 10%, and it was off the charts. And I found it really through happenstance. Scott and I were going to do a Oktoberfest episode where we were going to go out and find different variations of Oktoberfest beer. Yep. And I'm at the beer and wine store down the street from my house, and I look over and I'm like, Founders, Oktoberfest, and all of a sudden I look and I'm like, barrel aged. and when we had Founders on, we talked to them about it, and I think they came out with it in like 2021. And Scott, didn't they say they were going to do like a new variation this year? I don't think they're going to come out with that particular one. But man, if you guys see it, I know you were talking earlier about barrel age being sort of hit and miss. That thing, my God, man, that was one of my favorite beers of the year. It really was.
All hit.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and only
All
like
hit-
that beer for you, Steve, was only surpassed by that Vivacious Juicy, right? If I
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
at least for a time.
Yeah, it was like my second favorite beer of the year.
huh?
It was that good.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll definitely be on the look of it coming August, September.
Yeah.
yeah. I know it's so weird. You know what I hate about Oktoberfest coming out early, and I like Sam's Oktoberfest. I really like their summer ale too. Those are the two I like from them. Their summer ale is really crushable. It's got that lemon zest to it. I love that. And the Oktoberfest follows. I'm just like, can we just get them a little later in the season?
Yeah, because listen, it may come out in August, but it's still 100 degrees in August.
I know.
I'm not ready to shift to the fall until October
That's
itself.
it. Yeah, I'll buy it, but then I'm not gonna drink it for a few weeks. At least.
Yeah,
It's
there's
gotta be in
that.
September.
Yeah, you got to save some because basically it's kind of like Christmas, the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all of a sudden, boom, it's over. And you get October maybe 20th, and you're not seeing hardly any Oktoberfest left out there. You may still see it in some restaurants, but you're definitely not going to see hardly any of it in stores anymore.
Do you guys transition? And they run parallel a little bit, but there's a crossover between Oktoberfest beers and the pumpkins. The pumpkins come out a little bit later, as they should. They should come out much later too. Are
Maybe,
you guys
they're definitely
pumpkin?
more October.
Yeah.
I don't drink a lot of pumpkins, but I think we'll all agree. And if anyone listening doesn't know, Party Source in Northern Kentucky, right across the river from Cincinnati in Newport, Kentucky,
Yep.
is the greatest liquor store on the planet that I've ever been to. Anyway, but they have a build your own 6-pack aisle that is unparalleled that I've ever seen. And I went in there around September, and like half of that aisle was just Oktoberfest beers. And I was so excited, I ended up building a 12-pack because I just wanted to try everyone's beer. And we're huge fans of Wooden Cask, and I've never seen them have an Oktoberfest beer. But I don't usually go for the pumpkin ales too much. It's just a little too much spice for me versus an Oktoberfest beer. But they had one, and since we love Wooden Cask, because what's going to happen, I bring all those back, and then he comes over, and then we just get I have like a flight, and we just kind of pour half glass, and we split beers to try them. And we ended up trying their pumpkin beer, and it ranked high for us. It was really good. So I'm a little bit more open to it. Now, since then, my daughter, because she knows I love Wooden Cask and knows I love Oktoberfest, she found a Wooden Cask Oktoberfest beer. She bought me a 6-pack and brought it to me. And I'll say this, Wooden Cask Oktoberfest ranks high. Once again, they do not let us down. If anyone goes to the Cincinnati area, please give Wooden Cask a try.
Mm-hmm.
I think in fact, I was in about 2 years ago. They also have the tap room on Newport on the Levee in addition to their other location. And I was in there and I was talking to the guy and I said, I think you guys are one of the least talked about great breweries in this area. And he looked at me and he said, our owner knows that. He said, he just stands on what we do. He said he doesn't worry about it. He feels like the brand is good enough where people are going to come in and they're going to get the beer and we're going to continue on. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, they don't get talked about that much up there. I don't.
But what happened? We didn't go there. We made a choice. Look, because they're not far from Darkness, and we all love Darkness. We've we've kind of taken them on, so we go there as much as we can. We go to Braxton and Darkness, but right between Braxton and Darkness is Wooden Cask. So next year, if we're going back up there, we need to not miss Wooden Cask.
Yeah.
Well, we went to the new West 6 location because we wanted to knock that off our list because we hadn't been there.
Sure.
But yeah, Wooden Cask was on that whole thing, and next year we will. And I want to also say one other thing about Darkness. I am starting to be convinced after being there twice that Darkness is going to become on that Listerman level for me of,
Yeah.
I don't know where else in this area, pound for pound, that I'm going to find the most consistent good beer. And I feel like Darkness is going to be on that level for me. About 1 or 2 more times I go there, I'm going to be like, yep.
Yeah. Look, I love when I go to a place to find the big breweries. Awesome. But find the little hole in the wall. And I can still look, they haven't really expanded that much. So I still consider them a bit of a hole in the wall. They're small, but man, they produce great stuff, and they have improved the facility since I've started going there. But yeah, they're just on point.
Yeah, that was my first time, and that will be one of those ones that's going to be on the list every time we go if we can.
Their size is like charming. It's got some charm to it being a little place.
Yeah, and we center everything, not everything, but when we go there, there's always a ball game or two involved. So they're near the ballpark, which is convenient as well. So we do that and do the ballpark, which is what we did this past trip too. So can't wait to get back. Steve's been a couple times now.
And by the way, I thought I was going back to look on my Untapped app on the Sully scale or the Spence Lamont scale, whichever one I am. I've had their pumpkin ale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had their pumpkin ale. I've rated it about 2 years ago, and it looks like I liked it. So I've had their pumpkin ale, but doesn't look like I have not had their Oktoberfest. But you were drinking the New Porter earlier, right?
Yeah, he's got it right now.
Yep, I had that about 3 years ago and liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, first off, wooden cask, a beautiful can art. It looks prestige. It's really nice. And when I saw their Oktoberfest one, it had the white and blue checks and still had their emblem on there. I mean, it's a beautiful stuff. So, but yes, so you enjoyed the wooden cask Oktoberfest, yes?
Yes. No, I haven't had it. I have not had their Oktoberfest.
You had the pumpkin though. Yeah.
I've had the pumpkin ale, yeah.
Which was
And I'm hit and miss on pumpkin ales. When we were talking about it earlier, last year when I stood in line to get the Sam Adams, their pumpkin beer was sitting there next to it. I did not get it because I've had it before, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. I probably would get it again. I'll tell you who does a really good pumpkin beer now, and they serve it throughout the year. Scott knows which one I'm talking about here in Nashville. Blackstone does the best pumpkin beer it's a pumpkin ale. They do the best one that I've probably one of the best ones I've ever had.
Interesting.
I'll tell you when it comes out, we'll send you a couple, and it's just simple. It's not anything crazy, or it's got a little spice to it. And dude, it's not again, but I've given a few 5s on Untapped. That's a 5. I've given that beer a 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, and I love it.
It's a bit of a spicy kick, but it's not that pumpkin spicy kick that you get. That you go, this is way, way, way over here where it's really annoying and you don't want to drink any of it or more of it. It's just right, in my opinion, where you really enjoy it and it's just a good brew.
Yeah, it's
I don't want to be drinking a carrot cake. Hang on.
No.
I would drink a carrot cake. I take that back. I love carrot cake. I would drink that.
I would drink a carrot cake, sure.
So my question. Well, Scott mentioned the seasonal beers, and we know that there is a season that's coming up soon. It's called the Season of Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
We dropped a variety 12-pack, which included 4 German-style beers. So we had an Oktoberfest, we had a Pilsner, we had a Kolsch, and we had a Dunkel. And then Oktoberfest season coincides pretty nicely with our 5-year anniversary. So we'll be looking to do, 3 different types of German style beers, 3 or 4 more styles. So we're going to be dabbling in some, Berliner Weiss, maybe, something Bockish. I don't know. Maybe something, Marzen. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, especially being in Cincinnati with such a huge German contingent, it is something that we really push for because, we're really proud of our heritages here in Cincinnati, so we couldn't not try.
Well, and I was going to say that, I've been to the Oktoberfest Cincinnati downtown. A few years ago I was there and I hadn't been for a while, but I definitely need to get back. So yeah, expand on that a little bit, because I would imagine that almost every brewery has to have something Oktoberfest related in a city like Cincinnati, just knowing what the demand is.
Yeah, and not just during Oktoberfest season, but being from Cincinnati, Bachfest is a huge season. Again, it's kind of like rooting yourself in the roots that you have or the heritage that are in the city. So German beers are definitely, pinnacle here. And you have a lot of places, a lot of breweries around the city that do damn good German style beers. Like West Side comes to mind. Third Eye does some great stuff. Brink does some great stuff. We want to be able to be on that level. We want to be mentioned with those guys when German beers come up in conversation in this community. Yeah, German styles in this city are just so vastly important because we know that's what people are looking for, especially really from, I'd say, mid-July through October.
Probably. You'll have Bach beers in February, March. and then those will go, and then you'll have your summer, and then basically, it's Oktoberfest.
Basically, it's Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And that's the craziest part, right? You know, for the first few years, we would tell ourselves, we're not going to be those guys. We're not going to be those guys that drop Oktoberfest in the middle of July. And then, what was it, 2 years ago, we were sitting there and we're like, damn, we might have to be those guys.
Yeah.
Being early to the party's not bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely, we started with our Fest beer. And now we're going to dabble with the Marzen this year. So we're excited.
We obviously live in a different time than when Marzens were created originally. And they used to, they'd have to do them in March and they'd store them in the cellars or whatever all summer. And that, when do you guys have to start start brewing things for the Oktoberfest season?
I've already brewed everything's already brewed in tanks.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Way ahead of the game.
Oktoberfest is done. It's in the tank, and the next batch of Oktoberfest and Dunkel is already planned for next week.
Really?
They're already hurry done.
You're not kidding when you said July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know if we'll necessarily release it, but we
No.
have it.
Yeah.
It's all be ready, because in order to get the mixed 12-pack assembled on time when we want to drop it, we have to have everything done by a certain day. Brian's like, everything has to be done so he can take it to our packaging guy, get everything boxed up and look pretty.
And like, that's the biggest thing when you're dealing, the 12 packs are the first time we did that last year. When you deal with that, you have to make sure everything's done right around the same time, because, you know, as you guys know, beer has a shelf life, and you want to make sure when you put those beers into the 12 pack, they have longevity, right? And create longevity through completing them all at the same time. Just makes it a little bit easier.
We've laughed about Oktoberfest season on past episodes, you know, like last year, because we're going, okay, when are we going to see the first Oktoberfest beer sitting out on the shelves? And it's like, you know, right there at the end of August, you know, you go in the stores and you might see maybe some Sierra Nevada or, of course, Sam Adams that are popping up. And you go, it seems like those bigger breweries are really putting in the more pressure and demands for all the other breweries.
I believe, by the way, they started this trend.
Yeah. And we, you know, you want to make sure that you're falling in that realm, right? You want to make sure the consumer can get their hands on them at the appropriate time, because if you're a little too early, people kind of give you the side eye. And if you're a little too late, you know, you're kind of scrambling to even get a portion of what you should.
Yeah.
There's definitely a sweet golden area that I think changes every year.
It does. It feels like, consumers laugh. I was like, well, it's kind of your guys' fault.
Yeah. It totally is. If nobody bought it in July and they waited till September, it wouldn't come out till September.
Right. It was funny. I saw one of our local beer guys, Zach Hawley, posted a picture last night of him drinking a pumpkin ale, and I'm like, dude,
What's a pumpkin ale out already?
Yeah.
Hey, we know Zach. We know
Yeah,
Zach.
we know Zach.
This is old.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Crazy guys.
Urban already brewed their pumpkin beer.
What?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Good on.
Yeah.
So you guys can't dictate how
No
long
pumpkin ales
No
from us.
you're not doing pumpkin ales?
No pumpkin ales from us.
That's not one of the fun things you want to do.
No.
Challenging. They're challenging, that's for sure.
The duration of Oktoberfest for your beer, though, that really just dictates on, like, you brew it X amount, right? And then when it's gone kind of thing. Yeah, you're not making any more, and we've got so much, we got a finite amount, and that's it.
Yeah. That's, as a small business, as a small brewery, like, we don't necessarily have the luxury of, you know, brewing a batch late and it not selling and us have to dump it.
Yeah,
Like,
because that's been us about a couple.
Yeah.
If we brewed it a little too late seasonally, and it's amazing, like that beer will sell, and then right when the season changes, it stops selling.
It's
Yeah.
almost 100% cut off. It is the weirdest thing you will ever see.
Yeah, it's very fascinating to watch. So yeah, once the Oktoberfest, once those are gone, they're gone.
I
Hey,
still
really
see
wanted to touch it. Go
Schlafly.
ahead.
Oh, so Rick, just to touch on the pumpkin thing real quick. There's a place I go to still has Schlafly's pumpkin on the shelf from last year. And I love Schlafly's, but I think it's to your point. Maybe they made too much or somebody bought too much. The season ended and it sits there now and nobody wants it. But when the season comes around, you can't get enough of it.
Yeah. And then yeah, once you start seeing like those Great Lakes Christmas
Yeah,
ales,
Christmas
you're like,
ale.
Yeah, we know what a big deal that is for them up there too.
yeah.
We just released a sauerkraut Oktoberfest, which is a once a year type thing. It's a very, very small amount, but it's something that we do every year, and it's something that we've become known for, at least locally. And we still do things like that.
Steve, did you get the chance to try that? Was it on tap when you were at the tap room, the sauerkraut?
It was not, but we wanted to jump into Oktoberfest a little more on the podcast because here we are in Oktoberfest season, and I was really fascinated, as I mentioned, when I came in there because they did have the butterscotch Oktoberfest, and I think you also had your other traditional Marzen in there as well. And I was curious as to the idea behind a butterscotch Oktoberfest because I would never thought about that, and I thought, wow, and I could taste the butterscotch, but I thought it was a great combination with the Oktoberfest beer. And in fact, we were at a place called Deep South Growlers, which is a tap room here in Nashville, and one of the locations is right around the corner from Scott's house. And Abby Adderton, who is the daughter of one of the owners, I was telling her about it, and she's like, that sounds tremendous. Talk about that, the idea behind the butterscotch Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I think that was, I want to say that was either the first or second year that I worked there. We kind of developed that one a little bit. That was a little bit based off of a lot of times, especially at that point in the brewery, we would release a base of something and then some variation off of that. And so often when we would plan our release schedule, we'd say, what's the thing that we want to try a small amount of? And I think the goal with that one was kind of like the like butterbeer, like Harry Potter, like that idea of like a light and kind of like sweeter version of like a traditional style. I think we talked about caramel for a little bit, and then we talked about butterscotch, and I don't remember specifically why we landed on butterscotch, but it was kind of a we'll give this a try. And I think the first year we probably only made, I don't know, like a couple barrels worth of that. And now at this point, it's almost split down the middle with the traditional Oktoberfest and the butterscotches. So we always make sure that we have that on draft, and we also make sure we have it on cans at this point. Eric, do you remember how we landed specifically on butterscotch?
Yeah, well, I think it was probably just experimenting with things,
Yeah.
And I know that it's really fun. There's a kind of a funny side story to this, guys, is that we're about to have our, sixth or seventh, maybe sixth Oktoberfest that we're having on September 20th. And, but, we've made the butterscotch for 3 or 4 years, I think. And maybe the pretzel version for 1 or 2 years, and same with the sauerkraut. So we have essentially a flight of those beers. But the funny joke, ongoing joke about the butterscotch is that we use real butterscotch to make those beers on top of the Marzen, and have gotten ribbed and pinged by not only other brewers, but by craft beer enthusiasts online, because butterscotch can be known as an off flavor aroma, like you made a bad beer kind of thing. And I've always had to say, no, we intentionally are putting butterscotch in there and doing that as a beer. So it's like one of those flavorings or kinds of ingredients that it can be known as an off flavor in there, but is the real deal. So like apples would be the same thing. That can be an off flavor and that kind of thing. Horse blanket, or farmhouse kind of things. There can be things that are, actual off flavors. But when we tried the butterscotch, it was kind of a funny thing because I was getting pinged and still to this day get pinged a little bit about, hey man, did you guys put butterscotch in there, or is it just you made a bad beer and tried to palm that sucker off? It's real. I mean, it's real butterscotch. So, but people like it, and to Anna's point there, it's just part of our experimenting and trying to have fun with it and do some different things. Not just, hey, we're going up against who are the guys like the main German houses like Polliner and the guys that have been making Marzens or Fest beers for hundreds of years, and oh my goodness, they're so delicious, and they give me brewer's jealousy, and all that kind of thing. So just be able to mix it up, and hopefully we're still living in the world where people come to small breweries and tap rooms to try something different. And if you've come there and Scott, I saw that you were drinking Apollo 13 IPA, which is one that we've pretty much made from the beginning. Of course, that recipe, the one that you're drinking out of that can, is a whole lot different than the original one that we first made. The reason why we called it Apollo 13, it was after the Apollo 13 mission, because it was a near disaster the first time we brewed it. And, so we still like to have fun with it. And the all four of the regular Marzen, I love drinking that one, especially off a draft. It's real tasty. And the butterscotch and the pretzel and the sauerkraut. The sauerkraut, Steve, I'm kind of happy you didn't get to try that one, because it definitely smells better than it tastes.
I would have tried it, though. I'll try almost anything. I would have tried it, my friend.
Totally
I would have tried it.
I think that one tastes better than it smells. That smell is, the nose on that one is strong. You put that one up to your nose and you're like, I'm not so sure about this.
Does a little bit of sauerkraut go a long way when you're brewing that?
It does. And yeah, making it that day is always funny, because every time we pull it out, we're like, what are we doing over here?
What are we doing? Are there other Oktoberfest version beers that you're going to have out during the season here?
Those are our four ones that we usually do. We kind of release our Oktoberfest in tiers. We first release just the base, and then the butterscotch, and then the second round that we brew, we pull off the pretzel and the sauerkraut, and we have a flight release, and then the third release in September is set for the actual Oktoberfest event that we have at the end of that month. So we try to keep things rolling with the butterscotch throughout, and the pretzel. Sauerkraut is definitely a one-time thing, but other than that, I don't think we've tried anything else. I don't know that we're going to do anything else this year. Anyway,
I think it's great. You've got multiple variants of it, though. Not a lot of people do that. It's just the one, and I love the idea of the butterscotch. I haven't had it, but I think it's a really nice pairing.
Yeah, it ends up working out, and I think it literally was just sometimes we're looking at some extra ingredients we have, or sometimes there's an idea that came along. One of our former employees said, what if we put sauerkraut in there? And we said, we'll give it a try and see what it tastes like. So we'll try anything once, and it worked out pretty well. Is there an ingredient that you guys think would go well on a Marzen lager?
That's a good question.
You mentioned caramel, and I would think that would be okay too. I think that might be a nice pairing, like a nice, Marzen or something. God, I don't know.
Maybe a little bit of chocolate. You think? Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, we put chocolate in beers for sure before.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed sauerkraut though, but I would try it in a heartbeat.
We are basically now in Oktoberfest season.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a bit of an early start.
Meanwhile, it's August 13th, but you're not wrong.
I know. I got a bit of an early start. I've drank a couple of Oktoberfest beers. Drank one on the Hoppin podcast.
Yeah.
Their Oktoberfest, which, by the way, was a fantastic 2-part episode, people. If you're listening to this and you haven't listened to the Hoppin podcast in Akron, because we went up there a few months ago and we had a couple of those guys on there. They were absolutely fan-damn-tastic, and they were very passionate about what they do. And it's a championship podcast right there.
It really is. I've been editing that this week, and man, I can't get enough of it. I'm excited for people to listen to it. Those guys were awesome.
Yes, very, very awesome. So I had an Oktoberfest beer so far from them, and I also had an Oktoberfest beer when I went to Johnson City Brewing that I'll talk about in a second. But you've had some Oktoberfest already, right?
Yeah. So the first one I had this year was on July 5th, so 4th of July weekend. I was over at Chris Finn's house, and you say, well, how did you get an Oktoberfest that early? Well, our friend Calvin, he stashes, he'll buy cases of the Sam Adams Oktoberfest at the end of the season so that they'll last him until the next season. Well, he was getting close, so he's got to start drinking these old ones from last year. So the one I drank on July 5th was from last season's batch, if you will. But I was like, all right, so that was the first one I had this year, this season. But then, Yeah, Deep South Growler had one. I was over there a few weeks ago, and they had one called Lederhosen
Yeah.
by Cigar City. So that was probably my first official for this season, Oktoberfest. And it was a Martha, man, and it was really good. And then since then, I've had many Nashville Brewing Company fest beers, and not a lot of assortment. I have not gone out and bought a bunch yet to bring home, but that's coming. I mean, it's here. The fest beers I get because they tend to be a little lighter, but the pumpkins can be heavier, so those are a little harder to drink when it's warm. But who cares, right? Let's just get them. Let's drink them. They're there. They're good beers. We'll drink them.
Yeah, why not? Let's try them.
We complain, but they keep coming out earlier and earlier.
That's right. Let's just try them and check them off.
That's right.
And then I also want to make mention, because we have talked about it so much on this podcast, about all the PB&J beers that are still out there, the new ones that are coming about. I had a recent one from our friends at Tailgate Brewery. Actually, you were there.
I was
with
there.
me.
I witnessed it.
Yes, the PB&J Uncrustables Sour Schnack, and that one was a sour fruited from Tailgate. That one was pretty good. I had one from Common John that was also a pretty decent one as well. I had that from Mr. Brews, and then, well, I guess I got to get into my trip.
Here we go. I'm going to buckle in. Listen to me buckling in.
Got to get into the trip. So took a recent road trip to East Tennessee, and my first stop. Now the whole trip was supposed to be going to the Speedway Classic in Bristol, Tennessee, to see the Reds play the Atlanta Braves. But on the way, my first trip, my first time ever. You had been before. I had to stop at the world famous Zool.
You have to.
And Zool, of course, it did not disappoint. I got there on a Thursday afternoon. I can tell you it was about 110 degrees outside when I got there.
Yeah, that's about right.
In the middle of summer. I mean, I just remember getting there and thinking, man, I've been driving for a few hours, and this is going to be a perfect spot to get some beer. Not a lot of heavy beer because I'm driving, and now it's also time for lunch. And thank God they had some food there. But yeah, so when I did get there, I remember you were leading up to a couple days beforehand. You kept saying, you're about to have your 1,000th check-in of a beer on Untapped.
I think I was more excited about it than you were.
Well, you love stats. I love stats.
I do. Yeah. Well, I know the 1,000. The 1,000 is a pretty good number, so I was excited for you.
Comparatively, by your standards and many others, it's not that high. But you know what? It's a high number, I guess, right?
It's a high number, and it's
a high number.
Yes, yeah, it's a high number, so it should be applauded.
Okay, well, thank you for applauding, everybody. But no, I planned it. I said, all right, I got to make it special. So I went there, I got a flight, and I made sure that my 1,000th check-in was the PB&J mixtape strawberry from Zool.
That's amazing.
And ladies and gentlemen, it did not disappoint. It did not. It did not disappoint. I believe. Let me take a quick look. I'm pretty sure, though, I know what I rated it. On the old Untapped app, I rated it a 4.50.
4.50
on Untapped.
That is stellar.
That is high territory. Yeah.
There aren't many that get up in that range, are there?
Yeah. I've had a few this year.
You're drinking good beer.
I'm drinking good beer. Ironically, a lot of them have been from Zool.
Well, we're seeing a little bit more here, right? A little bit dribs and drabs here, and then you getting there obviously helps that too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it was a good time. Got a flight from there, and that was the only mixtape that I got that day because I was like, we've talked about this before, and I can't say if the strawberry would have been one that some of you go, I only would want this on a flight. It's a little bit too sweet. A flight is fine. Maybe I would probably take that one in a 16-ounce pour, 16-ounce can. I think that was pretty good.
Well, look, you're running through the flavors, aren't you? You've had peach, right? You've had the regular, which I think is grape. You've had strawberry. You had blueberry. You had blueberry last year.
Yeah,
you're running through them all. You've had peach, and I haven't even had peach yet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I also have to make mention, in all fairness, it wasn't just that what I got on a flight. I got their Mexican lager, which I also liked, and I got their American lager. It was Couch Time, which was pretty good, and a New England Hazy IPA, Small Vices. So I really mixed it up that day on my flight when I went to Zool, and I really enjoyed my trip there.
I don't remember. Did you take a picture? I'm sure you did, of the flight.
I did.
Yeah, probably a lot of color variation in there, right?
There was, yeah.
Yeah. Has to be. You're really good at that, by the way. Especially, and with what you described, like there's got to be some color variation in there.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I know at the end of the year when we rank our top 10 breweries, new breweries that we visited so far this year, I have a feeling that Zool will probably be high up on that list.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
not to throw out any rumors, but good chance we might see some more of it in town soon.
You never know.
You never know. Okay, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I brought, yes.
And you brought me some back, which I appreciate. You brought me back tiny umbrellas and that peach cobbler one.
The Betty's peach cobbler,
yes,
which I just had. I also ranked that at 4.50.
That is really good. It's really sweet. It is really good.
On Untapped. And as you talk about, you also had talked about a couple of the others that I brought back too. All good stuff from Zool. And an observation from Zool. First off, some of the most friendliest people visiting that I've ever been around at a brewery. Now, most people at breweries are all cool and everybody is just cheery to be there and everything else. And I had my shirt on representing, so that caught a
They
little
had to
bit
be
of
nice
attention.
to you. You talk about them if they weren't.
Yeah, there were some nice people there. And but I think I told you this. An observation that I had is I don't remember going to a brewery before where you saw people that had boxes sitting in front of them of beer ready to go. Like they sell a lot of good beer at Zool, and I saw at least 7 or 8 people that had their boxes loaded up already, and they're ready to take off with them as soon as they're gone. And I'm like, this place really, really does it up great.
Yes, yeah, that is the ideal place for that. You go in, you take everything they have in the cooler, and you take it home with you, wherever home might be.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm guessing a lot of those people aren't from that area. Just like, when we go through there, it's like, I got to get stuff to take home because I don't live here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there were a couple of people. There was a gentleman 2 guys that were sitting there. I actually asked them to take my picture in front of the Zool sign, and they were from there. They said they didn't get to breweries too often, but they love Zool. And then there was another couple who kind of talked my ear off for a few minutes. I wish I could remember their names. They said they were going to listen to this podcast. So if they did, shout out to you guys. I think they were from somewhere over towards the East Coast, but they were talking about the Nashville breweries, and they've been to Nashville, and they were asking me about recommendations as well. So really for me, what was going to be kind of a quick trip, about an hour, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, turned into about an hour and a half. But man, I enjoyed it, and I loved every minute of it.
Good. Another one of those brewery experiences, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. We always love the brewery experiences. So that was my field trip to Zool.
Man. Another one you checked off the list. And that was, like you said, that was high on the list.
Very high on the list.
They've got 2 locations in Knoxville, and I've never been to the other one, Hardin Valley. I've not been to that. I always go to that downtown one that you went to.
Yeah. So very glad to have gotten to Zool, and certainly I'm sure I'll be back there soon. But from Zool, I was on to East Tennessee, way over to East Tennessee.
Kept going east.
Well, there were some plans on this day because I was going to meet up with some friends the next day. We had an Airbnb and we were going to go do some things, but I had to spend the night in Johnson City, Tennessee. And I had only been in that area once in my life. And so I planned it out. I wanted to go to Johnson City Brewing, the home of our good friend, Eric Latham. Yep.
The man who wears 1,000 hats and does 1,000 things. And when he comes back on here again, we're going to talk to about all those things.
We are. We're going to talk to him all about it. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to see Eric. Now, they've got a couple locations in Johnson City. There's the one that I went to in the downtown area. It's my understanding he's not in there as often as maybe as their other location, and he's off doing a lot of other things as well. But it was cool going into their downtown location. And it reminded me of a little Cheers bar. There were so many friendly people in there.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is there were some locals in there, but there were also people in there that were ready. They were there already, like I was, getting ready for the baseball game, that weekend, that I got a chance to talk to for a while and, share a lot of good stories with, and drink a lot of great beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had been in there, and I think I'd said this somewhere along the way that I'd forgotten I had been there to that location. And at some point I was like, oh, wait, I have been there at one time. So, and then I remembered it's a cool little spot in there.
Yeah. It sure is. And we have to thank Eric because he gave us some beer while we were there. In fact, I texted him and I was like, hey, Eric, I'm here. And I didn't think he was going to be in town. And then as I was leaving, the guy behind the bar said, well, Eric just called me and said, give that guy some beer. And I'm like, well, okay.
All right. That's awesome. And you gave me some too. So thank you.
You got some beer. I got some beer.
Yes. Thank you, Eric, for the beer.
Yeah, thank you very much. But yeah, I had some good beer from there. Had their sea salt lime lager. Also, we talked about Oktoberfest, and I think we're going to get them on soon. They do a lot of different variations of Oktoberfest. Here's one I would have not have thought of in a combination. Butterscotch Oktoberfest. What a combination.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah. What a combination. It was good. Did not take away from what you would expect in Oktoberfest, what Oktoberfest beer would taste like. And you could taste the butterscotch, but it wasn't like overpowering where it took over the beer. It was just right.
Nice.
And so, yeah, it was really enjoyable to drink that.
See, that would lend itself, if it wasn't 100 degrees outside, to like a nice fall beer too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
Yeah, and they've got some other variations, I know, and hopefully we'll be talking to them about that, of some other variations of some Oktoberfest beers.
Steve, what have you got?
Well, guys, we're about to kick off, and I know we're in the early stages, I guess, of Oktoberfest season, and I found this in can here in Nashville. It is the Hoppin Frog Oktoberfest.
Nice.
Yeah, I am a Oktoberfest guy. I would love trying almost any variation of an Oktoberfest beer, and this is the first one. In fact, I had it the other night, and it was really good, but this is the first Oktoberfest beer that I've had from you guys, and so great to kick off the season for it.
Heck yeah. I can tell you something special about that. It's 100% German ingredients, which is pretty special.
Yes.
I'm fond of saying the only thing we couldn't bring in was the water. We'll have to work on that.
That would be a little more difficult.
German, and it has a cool flavor because of that traditional flavor. That malt that they have over there is different.
The story about that beer that Steve's drinking right now, a couple years ago, a group of our friends got together and we did a blind tasting on nothing but Oktoberfest beers. And we had 18 different beers, so everybody just brought different things. And I'm not kidding. That beer won in a blind test, multiple rounds. That beer won out.
Wow.
Yes.
I believe it.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
It did.
That's
and
great.
I'll say, and there were some other German beers in there, and I have them on my list here. Like Eyinger, Warsteiner was in there.
Really?
Yes.
It's like my absolute favorite. I just love Angers.
Yep. They were the Hacker Shore, Shiner, Polliner, and even Sam Adams was in that blind tasting. So to win in a blind is even better, I think, because you don't know what you're getting.
Wow. To be fair, we probably charge more for ours than most of the other people. Because, we don't skimp on any ingredients. So that's wonderful that we could actually win that blind tasting. It makes me feel good. It's kind of, it's justifying for what we do because we use more ingredients than most people. You end up getting more flavor than most people, but also more cost. And I love them, so we don't stop. But yeah, there's sometimes when we wish we could be more cost effective. But when you win contests, when you beat 18 other Oktoberfest,
that's right.
Including Eyinger. Oh my God.
Yep.
I mean, it's like the leading one from Germany in my book.
Yep, and like I said, multiple rounds, so it wasn't a fluke.
Wow.
You ran the gauntlet and you won.
God,
wow.
Thank you, man. It makes me feel good. You made my night.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing. That's great.
We were going to talk about Oktoberfest, beer at some point during this podcast. Since we're doing it now, it kind of evokes some other questions. We talk about this all the time. What do you guys think about Oktoberfest season? This seems like it starts earlier and earlier every year. I mean, are you in on it? Or it's driven by the marketplace? I would love to know what you guys' thoughts on it are.
Well, it's definitely driven by the marketplace.
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to get out there first. I think that's where that all started. So distributors are wanting to get it so they can get on the store shelves first before the other guys do. And so now it's just kind of expected. I mean, I think the benefit the consumer gets maybe a little bit longer period of that product, but some of them get a little upset too when they see it on the shelf and it's July.
Yeah. There's always something to be said. We always say something about it. Meanwhile, I go get it.
Right. Exactly.
So it's kind of nice to have it come out like a month earlier than you'd expect, and then you have an opportunity to buy it a second time. That's kind of
Yeah, I guess the downside of that is if it goes away too quickly and it's still the middle of even October, if it lasts that long, that's kind of the downside of it. But I'm not going to sit there and let it sit on the shelf. I'm going to get it. I'm going to drink it.
Yeah, I mean, as a brewery that does a lot of different styles of beer, do you feel like the style of Oktoberfest, there's a lot of people that are coming in, and this time of the year they are expecting it, and if they're not seeing it, they're walking away disappointed. So it's consumer demand, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely got to have it.
I credit Sam Adams ultimately.
There you go.
They were the ones that always seem to have it out first.
They paved the way for us. I have great respect for people like them, and the close local one that did that for us is Great Lakes. You know, they've been around for I think 35 years. Got to throw them respect every time I can, man, because they paved the way for us. They were charging more than anyone had ever charged for beer before. It was really awesome and tons of flavor, and we took it to the next level.
When do you guys, because like I said, I obviously saw this in a beer store. In fact, I was just south of me. I live south of Nashville, and I went on a beer and liquor store about a week ago, and I was on their Facebook page. I'm like, you have any Hoppin' Frog down there? And like, we absolutely do. And I walked in, and they had several different variations. But when I saw that Oktoberfest, I said, this is going to be perfect for the podcast.
You made a beeline right for it.
I had to. When do you start sending out cans of Oktoberfest during the year?
That'd be a Zachary question probably, right?
That's in July.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
It's hard to believe.
Yes,
well,
we have
I mean, it's just because when you think about the timeline, from when it gets picked up from us and then gets to the distributor and then the time they get it to the stores and then until it gets on the shelves, I mean, there is a little bit of a time frame in which all that needs to happen. So that ensures, an August shelf date, but some are a little faster than others. So yeah.
Do you have to start brewing that in March, or can you wait a little later for that, or do you go ahead and get it out of the way as early as possible?
No, we do it a little. I do. It's funny. I knew you were probably going to ask when do we start brewing that. Like off the top of my head, I don't remember. I feel it's a little later than March, though. I do know that.
Yeah, you don't have to store them in the lagering tunnels anymore, right? We've got technology now where we don't have to do that.
Right. No tunnels involved.
Right.
Yeah.
300 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know there's so many breweries out there. They do a lot of different special Oktoberfest events, maybe once a year. Do you guys do anything like that, or is it just more, hey, here it is, here it is in our tap room, and enjoy the Oktoberfest during the season?
That's what we don't do an event around. We
yeah,
should.
It's more of just enjoy it for the whole season.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been a long time. We do other large events around other beers that have kind of developed a cult following around the brewery and then beyond. But Oktoberfest, I think it was a long time ago. We had like a German band, like a polka band come in and all that. We did it like 1 or 2 years, and it was fine. A certain group of people had fun, but yeah, we've moved on to some other crazy parties that we have throughout the year.
Well, there's already a lot of German type festivals around here too, which I think is, heck, we all go to them. So I mean, it's like at that point, it's like, hey, here, just come and enjoy our beer, enjoy the food, and at your leisure, don't feel like you got to come on a certain day to be able to have fun. As we like to say, it's a festival at the brewery every day.
So celebrate every day.
Yep, we're throwing a beer fest every day.
Yep.